Chairman, it's all over. Stress on obviously the Southend game was incredible. I've never seen you as nervous during the game. How would you, Stewart, dare sum up this season?
Been a tough season, been a frustrating season, something that I didn't want to be going into the last game of the season trying to get a result to try and stay in the league. So relieved certainly by the results on against Southend. The last 5 minutes became a bit unbearable to watch the game, so I vacated myself into the boardroom to watch the results coming through, and thankfully other results went our way, which is not what we wanted to do. It's been a difficult season for us, but at the end of the day we stayed in League One, and we have to go and build and learn from this experience now. You
just actually said it, and like I said in the opening comments there, I've never seen you as nervous, and for you to actually go in to the boardroom to stop, in effect, to see what the results were in our favour. How did we end up in such a position then, relying upon other teams to help us out?
I think there's been a number of factors throughout the course of the season. I think we've, the losing streak that we went on, might be 20 games where we didn't actually get a win. If you're doing that throughout the course of a season, you deserve to be down in the bottom half of the table. So it's been poor. Not what we've set out to do from the start of the season on day one. We had to make changes, and them changes become vindicated at the end of the season when you stay in the division. When League came in before the Chesterfield game, we were 21st in the league, and thankfully we finished the season outside the relegation zone. But it's been there's things that has gone on through the course of the season which, like I said, we learn from. It's not always going to be plain sailing. It isn't easy at a football club. You're thinking that you can go recruit players and bring people in, but there's work to be done from the recruitment side in the summer as well this time, and that's something that we're going to take a lot more attention to detail on.
Obviously, recruitment's key, over the summer months. By the time we got into October and November, the main topic was obviously the injuries. Do you think the number of injuries we've had so far this season has been a major effect?
Huge. No team in any league, whether you're Premier League, Championship, you can't cope with the amount of injuries that you've had, and that's something that we've really got to get ourselves improved on for next season. We've got to look at the prehab and the rehab. We've got to look at how players look after themselves away from the training ground. We've got to look at how the training programmes are worked, and also the physiotherapy and the care as well. That's an important process as well, because too many players have either just come back and they've maybe broken down again, and whether that's being rushed back. And those are factors that we're going to look at through the course of the summer. But it's difficult because we've had a treatment room, and it's been difficult for me because you go into Carrington, a fantastic training complex, and you see 10, 11, 12 players that are sat in the treatment room, and it would make a huge difference to us on the pitch. Huge difference. The players like Danny Mayer and Zelly Ishmael have started the season brilliantly well, and we've lost them for the bulk of the season. Nathan Cameron also. We had there was quite a bit of interest in Nathan at the start of the season through the August transfer window, through from a lot of bigger clubs that were interested in him, and we didn't want to sell him, and we wanted him to be part of it, and unfortunately we lost him through his knee injury, and there's been a lot of rehabilitation. I was delighted for him to get some game time, albeit for probably about a minute in the Northampton game, but it was a big long road to recovery that he's had, and there's a lot of factors that we need to work on for next season, and that's down to us all to make sure that we improve, because we're ambitious.
You made it obviously very aware, both private and public, that it was hard to let David go, and it was a big decision for you. Brassy and Kiddo stepped up and did a great job and steadied the ship. Then you took time to decide on the next decision. Do you think you made the right decision?
Well, first and foremost, I think when people say it was a hard decision to let David go, it's because he was the first manager that I really appointed, and I believed in David to take us to where we was wanting to go, and things changed. It wasn't where we was wanting to go. It wasn't really the direction we wanted to go in. Obviously, results on the pitch wasn't good enough as well. So hard to let somebody go. In some respects, yes, because I got to know David as a person, but this is a business as well. We want to be successful, and sometimes that's what I'm here to do, is make them tough decisions, which I did. and I believe they're the right decisions. And certainly when I brought Chris Brass and Ryan Kidd in, they did a fantastic job. They steadied the ship for us. That was something that I asked them to go do. Whilst I reviewed things behind the scenes and looked at different areas and different levels of what we could do and how we could improve that. So I'm very thankful to both Chris and Ryan. Ryan made it very clear from day one he didn't want this as a full-time position, but he would help and step up, and he's done an incredible work alongside what we've set out as a vision for the youth team. And he always wanted to go back down, but we knew that we could try and bring players up from the youth academy, and that was something that I didn't feel was given enough of a chance previously. And certainly when Chris and Ryan came in, you obviously saw the likes of Jacob Badu, Scott Burgess, Callum Stiles and George Miller start to make the starting 11. You know, not just the squad, but we're actually making the starting 11, and we felt it was right to give the youngsters a go at that point, and we started to pick up points away from home. And you know, you look at the point at Bradford City where Scott Burgess scored the goal. It's now probably a very valuable point for us. And so there's a lot of credit to Chris and Ryan, and we knew we had to probably get the right man to come in, and certainly I'm somebody that wanted to make the right decision. I don't believe at a football club that you should just go along and hire and fire them and have a huge turnover of managers and coaching staff. And you look at other clubs where they've maybe sacked 4 or 5 managers throughout the course of the season, and it's probably backfired on them, and they've not done very well. So I wanted to pick somebody that I believed in. We had a lot of applicants for the job, but sometimes you get a lot of applicants for the job that are up to the calibre and the standard of where they wanted to be to take us forward. And I certainly wanted to go out there and pick my own man. And Lee wasn't somebody that had applied for the job. And it was through looking around and having and speaking to contacts, and I knew about Lee's passion and desire. And the remit from when I saw Lee in February was to say, keep us in this league. Like I say, we were 21st at the time in the table, and the remit was to say we want to keep us in this division, which was a big ask. And I think a lot of people at the time, supporters, if they're honest with themselves, thought that we were probably one of the 4 teams that would get relegated before we appointed Lee. And that's no criticism to Chris or Ryan. Just we wasn't getting the right results, and you know that, and sometimes that bit of luck to go forward. And I'd met Lee, had a conversation, set out the vision and the goal, and thankfully he's delivered that. And you look at the first 3 games that he came in, he played Chesterfield away, won, Charlton away, won, and Coventry City at home and won. And them three games were massive to us. But that's taking nothing away from Chris and Ryan, because the results that they got, you know, the MK Dons and the Peterborough results as well, were big results for us.
It's a funny time of year now. Obviously, it's an exciting time because everybody's looking forward, but at the same time, it's sad in some ways because obviously the return list comes out, and it's always a key time now. The manager looks at who's coming in and who he's releasing. What do you need to do now to change it to where you want to take it?
Well, the thing that we had is that when I sat down with Lee, it wasn't just a short-term vision, it wasn't just a short-term goal. Lee was coming in here to be ambitious, and people might criticise that. People might have said, listen, you know, what they're talking about promotion for next season, and what they're talking about trying to be in the top half for next season, let's get the job done. Let's make it clear. That's exactly what we were setting out to do. Let's get the job done first and foremost. We want to stay in this division, and we've done it by the skin of his teeth on the last day of the season, but we've achieved it. Now we have to go and build on and move forward, and Lee's come here to be ambitious. Alan Thompson's come here to be ambitious. You know, they want to be successful people, and they believe that they can build a squad with ourselves that can compete to be in the top half of the table next season, certainly the top 6, and that's the remit. That's what they want to do, and Lee's made no secret of that as well. He wants to be in the fight for promotion, and you know, I saw some of the fans after the Southend game as they were coming out and saying thank you again for the support, and I said to them, you know, we want to be pushing the top end of the season, the right end of the season, there to the top of the table, and that's our remit and our goal, and we'll work extremely hard. We have a vision and a plan about what we want to do, and there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes already. The return list will get sent out today of the players that we're going to keep and the players that we're going to let go, and there'll be some huge changes that will be going on at the football club.
Obviously, Lee's now making his stamp, you know, in the backroom staff as well. I also understand that 3 members of the coaching staff will be leaving as well this week.
Yeah, you know, part of the remit that when Lee came in, it was through the course of the season. We had, obviously he came in February, so we had a couple of months left of the season, and it was just a case of getting us through to the end of the season and try and pick up as many wins as we possibly could. And me and Lee was, you know, trying to talk, and obviously you want to keep your focus on what is the here and now, and then obviously we had a talk about where we wanted to go and planning also for next season as well. And Dave Bayliss is gone, who was one of the chief scouts for recruitment. Paul Morgan's gone, who was the physiotherapist, and also Ian Wilcox has gone, who was the goalkeeping coach. And Lee wants to bring in some of his own team as well, and there's people that we've also identified that we're going to bring in as new coaching staff as well. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and we want to freshen things up. This has been our 4th season here, and from where the football club was to where it is now, and everybody knows about the work that we've tried to put into it to turn the business around, and we're working extremely hard to do that. And sometimes things need freshening up and things need a challenge and a change, and that's what we've got to do, because we want ambitious and successful people to be at this football club.
Obviously, away from the first team, we've also appointed Carl Evans as a new chief exec, and at the same time Ian Kendall has decided to hang up his administration pen and take retirement. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, Carl was somebody, obviously, we wanted to bring in somebody as a chief exec. With where we want to take the club and the professionalism of the business that we want to do, we needed somebody here that could run the day-to-day of the club, and it was too difficult for the current board of directors to do that with what we were trying to achieve and where we wanted to take it to. And he's got a huge amount of experience, whether that's been at Manchester United or whether it's been working at Salford City. And I'm sure he'll be a very successful in his role with ourselves, and I'm looking forward to getting really stuck in, because similar situation to Lee really, he hasn't been able to really stamp his authority on things since coming into the club, because he's wanted just to get things through to the end of the season and didn't really want to make too many changes. And again, in the summer there'll be a lot of changes with the hospitality lounges, whether it's with the current staff that we've got in place at the club. We just want to maybe freshen a few things up and obviously take ourselves to the next level. And there's things that he's already tried to put in place and what he will be doing, and I'm sure we'll all benefit from that. Ian, obviously, is a personal friend of mine. He came into the role as the director when we got involved in the club, and I asked Ian to take on the role of the youth director. I had a vision of what I wanted the youth to be. When we came into the club, the youth was run by the community trust. Yep. At the time. It was a shambles, and there was nothing in the football club of any sort of real quality that was doing. I think at the time we'd taken on one lad who came in as a pro, and I think that was Tom Pratt at the time. And there was nothing, and he'd been stale for 18 years. And I had a vision, I had a plan of what I wanted to create, and I wanted to work very hard in terms of the recruitment and changing that around. So, I appointed Ryan Kidd, and obviously with the work of Mark Littleland and the other coaching staff, we sat down on a plan and a vision, and we worked very hard, myself with Ryan and Mark, to get the recruitment right as well. But you needed, with the youth, there's a lot of administration that goes with it. There's a lot of things that go on with welfare and education, and I needed somebody that could do that for us, and Ian did a great job at doing the administration side for us, certainly with the EPPP as it is, and certainly with obviously the welfare of the scholars that we've got. And Ian was very passionate about the football club, but he's 65 now. He's realised that he wants to play a bit more golf than probably what he can do with the paperwork that he's been having to deal with, certainly recently, which has come out from the Football League. So he decided that now's the right time, that he wants to try other things and do different things with it. So Ian moves on, and we wish him all the best, and he wishes us all the best. But certainly with what we've got in place now, the youth academy, that the vision that I've wanted to set out 4 years ago, I believe is coming to fruition. We brought Jacob Badouin. That was something that we'd worked hard to bring Jacob in, and we brought in other players to come in, and we've got a very good youth policy system now, which recently we've just turned down another bid from a Premier League club for a 16-year-old at the moment, they've put in 2 bids and we've rejected them both. So it just shows of the interest that we're getting with our academy system. I watched the youth against Blackpool in the cup final down at Gig Lane the other night, and I was so pleased with them and proud of them, because in the starting 11 that we had, I think we had about 15 or 16-year-olds. I think 6 of them were still at school doing the GCSEs. So we've got a bright future with our youth in the academy, and that'll continue to flourish under the plans that I've got in place with them as well.
So obviously you just said there that you've got bids on the youth, and obviously we have sold players now, which is starting to get the cogs rolling when it comes to the financial cash flow. The accounts have been done again, and obviously the loss is lower than the previous year, and we're also projecting to be lower next year. Do you see the club becoming self-sustainable through the youth and other things as well?
Not yet. I think there'll be losses still. The losses at any football club, it happens. That's what a football club at the moment is doing. We're trying to make sure that the business doesn't lose as much money, and if you look at the history at the moment now, year on year it's come down, and again it's going to be predicted to come down again as well for the next year. There's different factors that you take into that, because obviously when you move a manager on, it costs money, and bringing in another manager also costs money. So there's a bit of work that's to be done. We haven't probably got the facilities in the stadium, as we talked about there, to be able to bring in enough income into the business on a non-match day related. And that's something we've certainly got to improve. There's a lot of work that we're trying to do with the facilities at Carrington, which will actually bring in extra income as well for us. The youth policy is something that I'm extremely proud of. Like I say, we've now got players that are at other football clubs and doing it extremely well. And you know, what's great for me is as well is, you know, when that cup final was on against Blackpool, we had 3 ex-players who we'd sold who all turned up to watch our under-18s play that night. So Matty Folds, Jacob Adu and John Ruddy all came back to watch us play. So that just shows the relationship that they have with the football club now. They're all 3 of them are with another football clubs and bigger football clubs than ourselves, but they still want to come along and support us. And that just shows about the bit of the youth family that the family that we've got at the club in terms of it, and we've got great relationships with them. But you know, we want the club to improve, we want to become more sustainable. The easiest one to do is you start selling your best players, which we don't want to do. You know, if you want to make the club a profitable football club, you sell your best players, and then you probably get the better players coming back in, and you keep the money in the bank. We want to be ambitious. We think that the best way for us to become self-sustainable is to push on to get into the Championship, but we want to do that in the right format. And we always knew when we first came into the club 4 years ago that you've got to turn the business around. The business was failing, and we've got to be able to put investment in to turn that business around. And I believe in time to come, the business will become self-sustainable with the plans that we've got in place.
Obviously, with with some of the fans, there will be negative comments about cash flow and losses. And like you said before, even the big clubs have substantial losses. Are you happy with the health of the business overall and where it's heading?
Yes, immensely. It's a lot better than what it was. We've got assets in the squad as well. 4 years ago we didn't have any assets in the squad. That was something now where, you know, you've got people like Callum Stiles, you know, George Miller, that have broken into the first team this season and done extremely well. I think George has got 8 goals this season. You know, you've got James Vaughan, 24 goals this season. What an asset he is. Greg Lee being superb this season. So you look at the players now that we've recruited, and bearing in mind we've not paid transfer fees for these players, we've got them on freeze, and we've done the business. We sold players in the summer last year, but we want to keep hold of your better players, and we sometimes feel it's right. And we sold Leon Clark to Sheffield United, and we replaced him with James Vaughan. And you know, Leon's had a great season for Sheffield United and got promotion, but Jim's had a great season with us. So it's cash flow in a football club, and you know, I speak to a lot of other chairmen, and they have real, you know, problems in terms of cash flow with where they're at with clubs. It's difficult. It really is difficult, you know, because you're trying to get a business that's not just operational on a match day, and the ones that do better are probably the ones that have got the bigger fan bases and the bigger facilities to be able to target that. But like you quite rightly said at the start there's a lot of clubs with big fan bases who've made substantial losses, and you know, that's we want to be a competitive team, because we didn't want to get relegated either.
Obviously, the last question, and probably the biggest talking point, as you're fully aware, amongst all the supporters, is the new stadium. We know we're making progress, but when do you think we'll be able to reveal more information?
I should ask you that question. I think the difficulty is that there's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes, and there's a lot of due diligence being done, and you move into a stadium this is a once in a lifetime thing that happens at a football club. you know, and we've got to get it right. We want to get it right, and the due diligence and the reports and the meetings that take place, I don't think people realise how much time and effort goes into it. I know I do, because I see the emails from yourself with the amount of work that goes into it, from the architect, from the appointed agents that we've looked at all the different demographics and how transport and highways and the meetings that we have with the council. But we've got to get it right. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, as I said, and we believe we'll get it right. We're very confident, or 100% confident we'll get it right, and I'm excited about it. I really am. I've seen some of the drawings and the plans that are being designed at the moment now about the new stadium and the facilities that it will have, and I'm excited, really, really excited. And I know that's maybe frustrating for the fans, because they want to know a location, they want to know what's going into it, but as we've touched on before, we want to make this a business that's operational 365 days a year. We want to make it so that it becomes a destination point. We want to make it so it helps the tourism of the town in Bury. Those are all key factors for us, and certainly we will deliver what we believe is right. And it'll be something that I'm sure the people of Bury and the fans of Bury will be more than proud of when this comes to where it is. But I'm hopeful, and I know I feel like I'm saying it as a broken record, and I don't mean to be, but I would hope in the next 2 to 3 months we will be able to say this is the venue, this is the location of where we're going to be to going forward with. There's still a lot of red tape to do, and when you're dealing with council organisations, sometimes it takes a lot longer than what you need to do. So please bear with us, but we're working extremely hard behind the scenes, and it will be something special.
Obviously, my last question to you, it's 4 years now since we walked through them front doors, and to me it doesn't seem like 5 minutes in some ways, but seems like a lifetime in other. 5 years is what we said for the championship. It's been a difficult one for you this year, I know. Are you looking forward to next season?
Can't wait. Can't wait. I said that 5 years we'll be knocking on the championship door.
And this is it.
And this is it. Back us, believe in us, and support us.